This is the GAC AION V, or simply AION V. It's a compact electric crossover, it's Chinese, and it could be potentially interesting, but not today. Why is that? Watch this to find out. GAC is a state-owned Chinese automotive group from Guangzhou. It's in business since about mid-20th century, and it's currently among China's top 5 largest car makers. GAC makes internal combustion engine and hybrid cars under the GAC brand, or Trumpchi in China. There is also the mainstream electric brand AION, as well as a more premium electric brand Hyptec. So this car is actually called the AION V, but the GAC prefix was added so that the Europeans know what they're looking at. For now, you can look at the AION in showrooms in Finland, Poland and Portugal, but further expansion on the old continent is imminent. Now that we know what GAC is, it's time to explain the AION V. It's a compact crossover, slightly bigger than the Kia Sportage and almost identical in terms of size to the Kia EV5. The design reminds me of the Hyundai Nexo. Generally, I like the AION V looks. It's modern but in a likable, non-pompous fashion, kind of like a friendly cartoon robot, rather than one of those dumpsters on wheels. I also like the interior quality. If AION is the GAC's mainstream brand, I wonder what the premium Hyptec must feel like. If I were to compare the AION V interior to another model, I'd say it's close to the Xpeng or the more upscale BMW or Mercedes models, at least at first glance. And assuming you're not terrified by having to control everything from the screen, the display is large and bright and features clean graphics which resemble those from Tesla. Everything works smoothly, nothing freezes, there's a very efficient wireless charger, cup holders, and even a compartment under the armrest which, depending on the settings, can heat, cool or even freeze its contents. Another positive is the performance. There is a 204 horsepower motor under the bonnet with 210 Nm of torque. The 75 kWh LFP battery allows for up to 510 km of range in the combined cycle and even over 700 km in the urban cycle. Promised average energy consumption is 16.7 kWh per 100 km. AC charging at 11 kilowatts means a full battery in about 8.5 hours. DC charging at up to 180 kilowatts requires just a 24-minute stop to fast charge from 10 to 80%. Visibility is decent and a 360 camera helps maneuvering. There's also adaptive cruise control with active lane keep assist. Nothing to complain about here. Nothing to complain about in the rear passenger space department either. There's more space in the back here than in some large SUVs, and there's even this fancy fold-out table like in a limousine of some sort. The side seats are heated, the backrest angle is adjustable, and the floor in the middle is flat. But GAC's cheated as far as the boot is concerned, although it's not what you think. AION claims this boot has 427 liters capacity. According to my calculations, this must be a result with the rear seats tilted back all the way or with the floor in its upper position. I estimate the volume to be over 500 liters with the floor all the way down and with the backrests in their most upright position. There are also a couple of shopping bag hooks, a 12-volt outlet, and there are also 2 hooks up here on the tailgate. Maybe to hang your jacket when you're changing. I'm not gonna do it today because it's cold. There's also a smiley face because it's nice to smile. And did I mention the AION V received 5 stars in the Euro NCAP crash tests? All this at a starting price lower than a Toyota Corolla. But don't storm the AION showrooms just yet, as there are a few things that we need to talk about. claimed 0 to 100 km per hour time is 7.9 seconds, but I got 8.2 seconds, both in sport and comfort mode. Not a big deal, and neither is the top speed limited to 160 km per hour. Nobody buys a compact crossover to race it. It's a tool for crawling in traffic. Speaking of crawling in traffic, there is no one-pedal driving. Region braking can be set to off, low or medium. There is no high setting. And in the medium setting, the car barely slows down. Of course, you can use adaptive cruise control, but like in most Chinese cars, it's hardly class-leading. It works like in a Toyota 5 years ago, too late and too aggressively. Also, the driver attention monitor is too aggressive. It's best to turn it off every time you start the car, otherwise it'll tell you off anytime you glance at the screen. And glancing at the screen you will be every time you need to set the AC, wipers, lights and many other features which could be operated with physical switchgear. For example, the rear window defroster is 2 clicks away, heated seats are 3 clicks, Android Auto is missing. There was supposed to be an update in October, but as I'm recording this in late November, there's still no sign of it. And that's not the only thing that needs updating. Starting with minor issues, I'd like to be able to set my local time. Currently, the car thinks it's in Shanghai time zone, and there is no way to change that. As a result, when the screen is set to automatic mode, it goes light or dark depending on the sunrise and sunset in China. Also, I'd like to be able to assign more features to the programmable buttons, at least take me straight into the driver aid settings, and preferably let me turn off ESA and driver attention monitor. Or let me add those shortcuts to the main screen. For the time being, I can't. I also cannot see the long-term energy consumption. Every time I restart the car, the ION resets the day trip data. Also, while the car is not moving, regardless of whether it's a minute at the lights or if I'm sitting inside for 15 minutes waiting for it to stop raining, the computer doesn't count the energy consumption. It only counts when the car is in motion. Therefore, in order to estimate the energy consumption, I had to look at my Google Maps timeline and then the data from my wallbox when I charge the car, and that's about 28 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Even if we assume 10% energy loss during charging, that's still more than 25 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, mostly driving in city traffic. Yes, the daytime temperature was between 2 and 7 degrees Celsius, so rather chilly, but 25 kilowatt hours is what EVs achieved in these conditions 4 or 5 years ago. I'm talking about European EVs, which are crap. Also, the test car I got is still on summer tires. Winter rubber would only make the energy consumption higher. Another software update I'd really love to see is navigation, route planning with charging, to be more precise. The current version is useless and information about charger doesn't even include output or availability. And the system doesn't take into account the speed on a given route. So it's showing me that I can drive for several hundred kilometers on the motorway. Sure, at 70 kilometers per hour I'll probably make it, but not at 120 kilometers per hour. But maybe ION's onto something, because the V isn't the quietest car out there. Soundproofing isn't as bad as in many other Chinese cars, but taking into account the posh interior, I'd expect it to be quieter. And this is my private hell, the indicator sound. But my mom likes it. Small things. There is no lumbar support adjustment, but the seats are okay-ish. There is no glove box, but there are 2 hooks. And if I had to nitpick, the cup holders, they're on the small side, and also they're too far back, so, you know, I'm hitting them with my elbow. Not ideal. Isofix anchor points are only in the rear, The backrest splits 40-60. Also, the backrest is reclined too far back for my liking, and there is only one USB port. And this panel isn't for climate control. After consulting the manual, I learned it's to control the temperature in the front armrest cooler heater box. Now, these settings also appear on the front screen, but I wouldn't have guessed the rear passenger can control the cool box, but they also have to ask the driver to set their seat heater on. Now, the boot has the least problems because beside the fact there is no parcel shelf, the only annoyance is the beeper during opening and closing of the tailgate. It beeps for the entire 7 seconds, and I think a single beep would be enough. Also, there is no frunk. Is this a Volkswagen or something? Price of the AION V start at around 37,000 euro in Portugal, 42,000 euro in Poland and 35,900 euro in Finland. That's for the premium trim. The top luxury trim brings the price up to 38,900 euro, unless you live in Poland, where we have to pay 44 grand for it. The AION V makes a better first impression than many other Chinese cars I have reviewed so far. However, there are some elements from a set of quirks and shortcomings which seem to be normal for the Chinese, but in my book they make the car too big a compromise. For a start, the AION V badly needs a big European-focused software update. Once we have that, it may prove to be not just potentially interesting, but an interesting proposition, period. And what do you think about the AION V? Are you considering one? Or maybe you're looking at some of its competitors? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.